From an early age, we are taught that being nice is one of the most important qualities a person can have. We're told that kindness will bring us friends, respect, and success in life. Teachers praise us for being well-mannered, parents encourage us to always be polite, and society rewards those who seem agreeable and pleasant. But what if being too nice is not always a strength? What if, instead of earning respect, excessive niceness makes people see you as a pushover? What if, instead of creating deeper connections, it leads to frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion? Many nice people live under the weight of unspoken expectations. They feel compelled to say yes when they want to say no. They avoid conflict at all costs, fearing that standing up for themselves might make them seem rude or unkind. They prioritize other people's needs above their own, thinking that this is the right way to live. But over time, they start feeling drained, unappreciated, and even taken for granted. The problem isn't kindness itself. Kindness is a powerful and beautiful quality. The problem is when niceness becomes a survival mechanism, a way to seek approval, avoid rejection, or maintain peace at the cost of one's own well-being. So, how can you break free from the trap of being too nice without losing your compassion? How do you balance kindness with self-respect? To understand this, we need to explore the hidden psychology of niceness and why it can sometimes work against us. The psychology behind being too nice. Why do some people struggle to say no, even when they desperately want to? Why do they constantly put others ahead of themselves, even to their own detriment? The answer often lies deep within their psychology, shaped by childhood experiences, societal expectations, and a fear of rejection. For many, being excessively nice is not just a choice, it's a deeply ingrained habit. It can stem from a need for validation, an unconscious belief that their worth is tied to how much they do for others. If they disappoint someone, they feel guilty. If they assert their own needs, they feel selfish. And if someone is upset with them, they feel like they've failed. This mindset is often rooted in childhood. Perhaps they grew up in an environment where love and approval were conditional, where being good meant being obedient, quiet, and never causing problems. Maybe they were praised only when they pleased others and criticized when they spoke up for themselves. Over time, they learned that their value came from making others happy, and they carried that belief into adulthood. Society reinforces this as well. We are told that selflessness is a virtue, that we should always be accommodating, that good people put others first. But what happens when this mindset is taken to the extreme? When we suppress our own needs, silence our own voice, and allow others to take advantage of us in the name of being nice? The truth is, excessive niceness is often a survival strategy, a way to avoid conflict, rejection, or disapproval. But in the process, it can erode self-respect and create a cycle of resentment where the nice person gives and gives, only to feel unappreciated and exhausted. So, how can we break free from this pattern? How do we stop being too nice without becoming cold or indifferent? The answer lies in setting boundaries, recognizing our own worth, and redefining what it truly means to be kind. The hidden dangers of being too nice. At first glance, being nice seems like an admirable quality. After all, the world could always use more kindness. But when niceness turns into self-sacrifice, when it comes at the cost of your own needs, opinions, and well-being, it becomes a silent poison. One of the biggest dangers of being too nice is that it attracts the wrong people. Manipulators, narcissists, and selfish individuals are naturally drawn to those who never say no, who never push back, and who always accommodate. They see kindness not as a virtue, but as a weakness to exploit. They take without giving, expect without appreciating, and demand without hesitation because they know the nice person will never resist. Over time, this dynamic creates an imbalance where the nice person gives endlessly, while others take without limits. And the cost of this imbalance is high. People who are overly nice often find themselves stuck in toxic relationships, whether in friendships, workplaces, or even romantic partnerships, where they are constantly taken advantage of. They may hesitate to speak up when mistreated, fearing they'll upset others or cause conflict. So instead of standing their ground, they endure, making excuses for those who drain them emotionally. And the worst part? The longer they tolerate these dynamics, the harder it becomes to break free. But the danger isn't just external, it's internal as well. People who are excessively nice often struggle with self-worth. They tie their value to how much they do for others, instead of who they truly are. This means they constantly seek validation, fear disappointing others, and avoid confrontation at all costs. They suppress their real thoughts and feelings, pretending everything is fine even when it's not. And the longer they do this, the more they lose touch with their own identity. Imagine spending years pleasing everyone, saying yes when you wanted to say no, and agreeing with things you don't actually believe in. Over time, you stop recognizing yourself. You no longer know what you truly want, what your own dreams and desires are, because you've been conditioned to prioritize others first. This is how being too nice erodes self-respect. It turns people into versions of themselves that are shaped by external expectations rather than personal truth. And then there's the issue of respect. Whether we like it or not, people don't respect doormats. They may like them, they may appreciate their help, but they won't truly respect them. The world respects those who stand their ground, who set boundaries, and who prioritize their own well-being. If you constantly bend over backward to please others, they will take it for granted. They will assume your kindness is infinite, that your willingness to accommodate is natural, and that they never need to give anything in return. At some point, the overly nice person reaches a breaking point. They wake up one day feeling exhausted, drained, and frustrated. They realize they've spent years putting others first while neglecting themselves. This realization can be painful, but it's also the first step toward change. So the question is, how do you escape this trap? How do you remain kind and compassionate without becoming a pushover? The key is learning to balance kindness with self-respect. It means understanding that saying no doesn't make you selfish. That putting yourself first isn't wrong. And that true kindness isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about being honest, firm, and valuing yourself just as much as you value others. True kindness has boundaries. It doesn't mean saying yes to everything or allowing others to walk all over you. It means treating people with respect, but also demanding the same respect in return. It means helping others when you can, but not at the cost of your own well-being. It means recognizing that your needs matter, that your voice deserves to be heard, and that you are not obligated to please everyone. Because the truth is, being nice isn't the problem. Being too nice at your own expense is. And if you don't take control of your boundaries, someone else will. How to stop being too nice and take back control. Being a kind and considerate person is a strength, but when that kindness comes at the cost of your own well-being, it becomes a weakness. The problem isn't being nice. The problem is being too nice to the point where others take advantage of you, and you begin to neglect your own needs. If you constantly find yourself exhausted from pleasing others, afraid to say no, or feeling unappreciated despite your efforts, it's time to regain control of your life. The good news? You can be a kind, generous person without allowing yourself to be used or manipulated. You can show compassion while still standing firm in your boundaries. You can care for others while also caring for yourself. Here's how you can break free from the cycle of being too nice and start prioritizing your own needs. 1. Learn to say no without guilt. For many overly nice people, saying no feels almost impossible. You worry that refusing a request will make others dislike you or think you're selfish. You may even feel guilty, as if it's your responsibility to help everyone who asks for something. But every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you are saying no to your own time, energy, and happiness. You are making other people's needs more important than your own. It's time to reframe how you see the word no. Instead of thinking of it as rejection, think of it as self-respect. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you are saying yes to something that serves you, whether that's rest, personal growth, or simply peace of mind. Try using firm but polite phrases like, "I appreciate you asking, but I can't commit to that right now. I'd love to help, but I have other priorities at the moment. I need to focus on my own well-being, so I won't be able to do that." The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And the right people will respect your boundaries, because people who truly value you won't expect you to overextend yourself. 2. Set clear boundaries and enforce them. Nice people often struggle with boundaries because they fear pushing others away. But the reality is, boundaries don't push people away. The wrong people just don't like them. A boundary is simply a rule that protects your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's a line that defines what you will and won't tolerate in relationships at work and in everyday life. Without boundaries, people will walk all over you, not necessarily because they're bad, but because you haven't told them where the limits are. Start by identifying situations where you feel drained, uncomfortable, or disrespected. Then, create clear boundaries to protect yourself. For example, if a friend always expects you to be available at all hours, set a rule. I won't answer calls or messages after 9 p.m. unless it's urgent. If your boss constantly asks you to work overtime without appreciation, be firm. I'm happy to help when I can, but I need to maintain a work-life balance. If a family member constantly criticizes you, let them know. I won't engage in conversations where I feel disrespected. And remember, setting a boundary means nothing if you don't enforce it. If someone crosses your boundary, remind them. If they repeatedly ignore it, distance yourself. Boundaries are only effective when you follow through. 3. Stop apologizing for everything. Do you find yourself constantly saying I'm sorry for things that don't require an apology? Do you apologize for taking up space, asking for help, or expressing your opinion? Over-apologizing is a common trait of overly nice people, and it sends the message that you believe you are at fault, even when you're not. It makes you seem unsure of yourself and easy to dismiss. Of course, genuine apologies are important when you've done something wrong. But apologizing just for existing or for setting healthy boundaries, that needs to stop. Instead of saying, sorry, I can't make it, try, I won't be able to make it this time. Instead of, sorry for bothering you, try, I appreciate your time. Instead of, sorry for saying no, try, I can't do that, but thanks for understanding. It's a small change, but it shifts your mindset from guilt to confidence. 4. Speak up and express your true thoughts. Nice people often keep their real thoughts and feelings to themselves to avoid upsetting others. They don't want to cause conflict, so they stay silent, even when they disagree, feel mistreated, or want something different. But the truth is, your voice matters. Your opinions, needs, and perspectives are just as valid as anyone else's. If you never speak up, people will assume you're okay with anything, and they'll keep taking advantage of that silence. Start by expressing small opinions and build your way up. If you disagree with something, say it. If someone oversteps your boundaries, address it. If you need something, ask for it. And remember, asserting yourself doesn't mean being aggressive or rude. It means communicating clearly and confidently. You deserve to be heard. 5. Realize that not everyone has to like you. Perhaps the hardest truth for overly nice people to accept is this: no matter how kind, generous, or self-sacrificing you are, not everyone will like you. And that's okay. Trying to make everyone happy will only leave you miserable. The more you shape yourself to fit other people's expectations, the more you lose sight of who you truly are. Instead of trying to be liked by everyone, focus on being respected by the right people. Those who truly appreciate you will value your honesty, your boundaries, and your self-respect. Those who only liked you because you were easy to control, they were never really your friends to begin with. Being kind is a wonderful quality, but kindness should never come at the cost of your own happiness. Finding balance. Breaking the habit of being too nice doesn't mean becoming cold or selfish. It means learning to balance kindness with self-respect. It means knowing that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. As you start saying no more often, enforcing your boundaries, and expressing your true thoughts, you'll notice a shift. Some people might resist, and that's okay. Let them go. The right people, the ones who truly care about you, not just what you can do for them, will stay. And in the end, you'll find something far more valuable than universal approval. You'll find self-respect, inner peace, and the freedom to be unapologetically yourself. Build unshakable confidence and self-respect. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to set boundaries and say no is because they fear rejection. They subconsciously believe that their worth is tied to how much they can do for others. But real confidence comes from knowing that you are valuable, not because of what you give, but because of who you are. So, how do you build that kind of confidence? A. Stop seeking external validation. Nice people often rely on the approval of others to feel good about themselves. If someone praises them, they feel worthy. If someone is disappointed in them, they feel like a failure. But this constant need for validation puts your emotions in other people's hands. To break free from this, start validating yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you that you're doing a good job, remind yourself. Instead of seeking reassurance, learn to trust your own judgment. The more you practice self-validation, the less dependent you become on external approval. Try telling yourself, I am worthy, even if no one praises me today. I don't need permission to put myself first. I am enough just as I am. At first, it may feel unnatural, but with time, it becomes second nature. B. Develop a stronger sense of identity. Another reason overly nice people struggle with self-respect is because they've spent so long shaping themselves to fit what others want that they've lost touch with who they are. Who are you outside of your people-pleasing tendencies? What do you truly enjoy? What are your values? What kind of life do you want to live? Start reconnecting with yourself by spending time alone to reflect on your thoughts, dreams, and desires. Engaging in hobbies or activities that make you happy, not just what others expect from you. Writing down your core values, what truly matters to you, beyond other people's expectations. When you know who you are, you become less afraid to disappoint others because you no longer need their approval to feel complete. C. Strengthen your body language and presence. Confidence isn't just about how you think, it's also about how you carry yourself. People pleasers often have submissive body language, slouching, avoiding eye contact, speaking softly, or fidgeting when nervous. These habits make it easier for others to overlook or dismiss them. Start practicing powerful body language. Stand tall with your shoulders back. Maintain eye contact when speaking. Speak clearly and assertively, rather than hesitating or trailing off. Take up space instead of shrinking yourself. When you present yourself with confidence, people will naturally start treating you with more respect. 7. Surround yourself with the right people. One of the hardest but most liberating truths is that not everyone deserves your kindness. Some people will take advantage of you no matter how much you do for them. They will only appreciate you as long as you are convenient for them. It's time to cut out toxic relationships and surround yourself with people who genuinely respect and care about you. Ask yourself, do the people in my life support and respect me, or do they just use me? Do I feel valued and appreciated in my relationships, or do I feel drained? Would these people still care about me if I stopped doing things for them? If the answer is no, don't be afraid to walk away. The right people, the ones who genuinely love and respect you, will never make you feel like you have to earn their kindness. When you let go of toxic relationships, you create space for real, meaningful connections. And trust me, life is too short to waste on people who only see you as a tool to serve them. The power of being kind but strong. Being a nice person isn't the problem. The world needs kindness. But true kindness isn't about being a doormat, it's about balancing generosity with self-respect. When you start saying no more often, setting boundaries, and valuing yourself, you might lose a few people. But those are the people who never truly valued you in the first place. What you'll gain is priceless: self-respect, confidence, and the freedom to be yourself without fear. So, from this day forward, commit to being kind but strong, generous but not a pushover, compassionate but with firm boundaries, and watch how your life transforms. Before you go, ask yourself this: how much of your life have you spent pleasing others at the cost of your own happiness? It's time to change that. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that helps you build confidence, set boundaries, and take back control of your life. But don't stop there. Drop a comment below and share one way you're going to start standing up for yourself. Your journey to self-respect starts now, and we're in this together. Subscribe today, because your kindness should be your strength, not your weakness.